You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. Here we go. The episode I did of the GrantCast about Uncle Interloper got such a lovingly warm reaction. People were so nice, and there was a lot of great comments about Uncle Interloper. I was like, hey, I know what I'll do. I'll do the same exact thing, but about Toiley. Because the Toiley story of how Toiley came to be is actually a little bit more involved and spans years. So I thought I would tell that story here today. It all starts in 2012 when puppeteer, Sesame Street performer Leslie Carrara Rudolph asked me if I would be interested in helping her make some videos for a live stage show that she wanted to do for her puppet character, Lolly Lardpop. The name of the show is Wake Up You're Weird, and she asked if I would come help shoot, because I had already been making videos at this point in 2012, if I would come help make some puppet videos for her that would be part of the show. And so I said yes. Now, she was doing this in Waterford, Connecticut at the National Puppetry Conference at the Eugene O'Neill Center in Waterford, Connecticut. And she would be there for a whole week working on this stuff. So I went there. I helped her film these videos. But the thing that happened there was I met John B. DeHaas. That's where I met John B. DeHaas for the first time. John B. DeHaas was, just like me, brought in to play piano for Leslie for this live show. So I was doing the videos, he was doing the piano, and instantly we hit it off. We just hit it off, similar senses of humor, we really clicked right off the bat. So that's where our friendship was. I don't know if we necessarily kept in touch a lot in 2012, but maybe we did. I'm not sure. Then in 2013, Leslie was going to perform this show, Wake Up You're Weird, in Austin, Texas. And so John was coming out for that. She asked me if I would come and run the videos for that, and I said yes. And then to save money, they kind of had us sharing rooms. So John and I were put together in one room, which was fine. It was for a week in Austin, Texas, and it was all going to be okay. So we were sharing a room, and at this point in my life, I constantly carried a bag of self-adhesive googly eyes with me everywhere I went, and I would stick them on everything. And that's who I was back in 2013. And so one day I got it in my head. John was out of the room, and I was like brushing my teeth or something, and I looked over at old John's toiletries, and I started sticking googly eyes on them. His toothpaste, his shaving cream, his, just anything, his deodorant, anything that he had in there, I was putting googly eyes on, and I made this whole world. And then I look over, and there is a spare roll of toilet paper in the bathroom. And so I stuck 2 googly eyes on it, and I left it on the counter with the rest of his stuff. So this was pretty early on in the week. He comes in and he's laughing about it or whatever. Then I started leaving the roll of toilet paper on his pillow when he was out of the room. So he would come back into the room, and here was this roll of toilet paper, still in the wrapper, it's not unwrapped, roll of toilet paper sitting on his pillow. And he would pick it up and he would toss it at me and go, "Stop this, like, get this out of here." So I just started talking as the roll of toilet paper. And, I was just like, "John, why don't you like me, John? I'm just trying to be your friend. I don't know why you're so mean to me. I want to be your friend." And so it would just be this thing where I was constantly talking in Toiley's voice. Now, the day comes that we're going to leave, and Toiley has become this thing in just a short amount of time that is constantly talking to John, and John's just annoyed with Toiley and whatever. And I thought long and hard when we were checking out of the hotel of whether or not I was going to bring the roll of toilet paper with me. But what I decided to do in my prankster mind that would be hilarious is to leave the roll of toilet paper in the closet that's in the room way back up on the shelf. So it would be something that somebody would discover at one point. It wouldn't be something they would see right away. Just open the closet, there he is. It's just way in this back corner, and you could see, when you open the door, if you looked up and kind of looked, you could see him. And I just thought that would be hilarious. Like if housekeeping came in, they're cleaning the room, and they look in there, and then all of a sudden they find this roll of toilet paper with a googly eyes on it. So that weekend, John goes back to Orlando, Florida. I come back to Southern California. And I had found out about this app called Voxer. And it's still around. Voxer, you can leave messages for people. It's they call it like a walkie-talkie, because if you're both in the app at the same time, it kind of acts like a walkie-talkie. You're saying things back and forth. But if the person is not in the app, you can leave these messages for them. So that became this thing. John and I started talking on Voxer, but every once in a while, I would just leave a message from Toiley to John, and it's Toiley talking about coming to Hollywood, his career, like the things he's doing, and, the auditions he's going on, and the shows he's in, and all this stuff. And so that became this thing that at this point, there's no puppet. It's just me telling these ridiculous stories. Toiley doing a play reading. Toiley, and then I would work in these other characters from John's toiletries. So Pasty became this very kind of sad sack. Hi, John. I'm so depressed. And in those early days, Pasty was just super depressed. He just sort of very dark humor, but he just wanted to end his life. That's it. And he was just this tube of toothpaste, because John's toothpaste that I put googly eyes on was like at the end, it was a tube at the end of its life. Like soon John would have to go buy a new tube of toothpaste. And so that's why I just kind of thought this sad tube of toothpaste who's just at the end of his life, and all he wants to do is end things. And then in those early days too, there was also Creamy, who was John's can of shaving cream. And John's can of shaving cream, it was like, Barbasol or whatever, but it had some sort of promotional image on the front of like a UFC fighter, this big tough guy who I don't know who that was. But so I just I made Creamy have this real deep, I always thought of him, I'm blanking on his name now, but the guy, Patrick Warburton, that's what it is. Hey, I can't do it right now. Hey, this is Creamy. And so he just had this really deep voice. Yeah, John, it's Creamy. And so they would all leave messages for John on Voxer, is my point. And Toiley would leave messages. And these long, rambling, 6-minute long messages, Toiley talking about all his career and everything he's doing. Well, that goes on from 2013 through 2015, so almost 2 years. And John has performed a lot of times, and he's had a lot of shows in the Orlando Fringe Festival. And one day when we're talking, John says, we should do a Toiley show at the Orlando Fringe Festival. And I thought this was an interesting idea, because at this point, again, there was no Toiley puppet. It was just this, these messages on his Voxer, or on the Voxer app. So I said, yeah, okay, yeah, we can talk about it. So I applied to the Orlando Fringe Festival. Toiley's show got in, and I think they draw the names in December, and then the shows are like in May or something like that. And so it was one of those things where we apply. I had no show, no puppet, no idea of what we were doing, and then applied, got the thing, and so then we had to start writing the thing. And it also made it difficult because I lived in California and John was in Orlando. So how do we rehearse this? And first and foremost, we need a puppet. There needs to be a puppet of Toiley. So I called up my good friend, Russ Walco of Puppet Garage, puppetgarage.com. And I said, listen, I need this toilet paper puppet. And so there was a lot of R&D and a lot of different versions. And in fact, if you watch the bonus content, if the Patreon bonus content for this episode, you'll see some of those early incarnations of Toiley. Some of them are really, really funny. And then the Orlando Fringe Festival was in May of 2016, and Russ got me the Toiley puppet in January of 2016. And then when we were working on the show, we decided there needed to be another character. So which other character are we going to make? And so it became Pasty. And so Russ made the Pasty puppet. And Pasty was built right under the wire, right before I had to leave to go to the Orlando Fringe Festival. I got the Pasty puppet and was able to use him for the first time. We went to the Orlando Fringe Festival. We had great shows. It was so much fun. That initial show was just made up of some of the stories from Voxer. So Toiley talked about doing the play reading. There's an infamous story about Toiley playing baby Jesus in a living nativity. And so that story was in there. It became this thing that Pasty likes horseback riding. So that was in there. And it was just all these stories that we had told over the past 2 years condensed down into this 1 hour show. So we did the Orlando Fringe Festival. We did the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Then we started doing shows on our own. And then in, I don't know what year it was. Well, in the end of 2016, Russ and I worked on this project for this web series. And one of the characters for the web series was like kind of based on Liberace. So it was sort of this very flamboyant character. And so I was performing that character, and I just remember Liberace. I don't know much about Liberace, but I remember growing up as a kid, he would always talk, oh, my brother George, where, that kind of thing. So I was doing this character, and over the 2 days we spent improvising in this character, I just fell in love with this character. The character's name was Reggie. And I was just like, oh, I love this character. And I was talking to Russ, and I said, I love this character so much, but I don't own... Like, they own the puppet. They own Reggie, And Russ, brilliant, just says, well, do the same voice, same character. We'll just build you a new puppet. And so then he built Lufa. And so that's where Lufa is based on this character, Reggie. Now, Lufa has this running gag where he has all these different roommates, where from week to week, he always has a different roommate. He never has the same roommate for longer than a week. And that was actually born out of something from Reggie, because the company I was doing it for, I said, I said something about my roommate George, and that was based on Liberace saying my brother George. And then they said, oh, that's something that Liberace did? He said, my brother George? And I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, then you have to change the name the next time we shoot, or for this next bit, so that we're not, accused of infringing on Liberace copyrights and all that stuff. So I just started, every time Reggie would mention his roommate, it was a different name. And so that's where that was born out of. And so I brought that over to Lufa as well. Lufa was a much later addition. I think Lufa wasn't around until maybe 2018 or something, maybe late 2017, 2018. And Russ built Lufa in like a day for a show. I saw him like a few minutes before the show that night. And it's just been a crazy ride since, because now Toiley is over 2 million TikTok followers and 13.8 thousand YouTube subscribers and 13.8 thousand Instagram followers. It's just craziness. And it's just crazy how this all started with putting googly eyes on a roll of toilet paper. I'm adding on here. I will say that John has been a great collaborator to work with on Toiley. And I truly do feel that John was very instrumental in the creation of Toiley, because if I had been rooming by myself, I probably would not have put googly eyes on a roll of toilet paper, I would have not put it on, what am I going to do? Put that on and then put it on my pillow? So John is super instrumental. He's a perfect straight man for Toiley. And it's just, it's been a wild ride. And I'm glad to be working with John on it. I'm also glad that we kind of had a lawyer write some things down. So, because I've been involved in projects in the past where that wasn't the case. And so now it's very sticky situation with things that I've created with other people. But Toiley, I'm confident in because we have that agreement in place. We know what it is, and we're just going to keep working on it. So that is the story of Toiley Tea Paper and the rest of the toiletries. To see behind-the-scenes video of the recording of this episode plus exclusive bonus footage, consider becoming a Saturday Morning Media Patreon patron. Find out more at patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media. And thank you for your support. This episode of the GrantCast is copyright 2021 Saturday Morning Media Grant Baciocco Executive Producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com.
You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.